Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to World of Wrestling Today, WOWT. My name's Jason Dreamer, and right now, where I am, it is 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, May 24th, 2017, and welcome to the premiere episode of World Wrestling Today. Now, as you can see, I've got a clipboard which gives me the notes of what I need to speak about on each episode, because I've got to do it that way. Otherwise, I'm going to lose track of what I'm doing and get off on a rant that I shouldn't. You can see I've also got coffee to keep me clear. I've also got assorted sodas you might see me stop and take a sip of. For now, I'm just doing these videos to upload them. And basically, all today and the next couple videos are going to be about are WWE, Ring of Honor, and a couple of the other major companies, and my own company, Pro Competitive Wrestling, PCW, based out of Rhode Island. Today's episode, I'm going to finally get to cover the WWE 2017 draft, what we also called the Superstar Shakeup. There were a lot of people that went from Raw to SmackDown, SmackDown to Raw, so that's going to get covered. And I'm going to also cover the state of my current PCW championship. But let's get started off right away with the most major note. WWE did a thing they called the Superstar Shakeup, which was actually the WWE 2017 Superstar Draft. And during this draft, they did only one official trade. That one official trade was when they traded Byron Saxton from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown, and then traded David Otunga for Byron Saxton, moving Otunga from SmackDown to Raw. The reason they did this is because David Otunga was not really working out with JBL after Mauro Ranallo came down with a medical issue. Now, David Otunga asked to be traded to Raw to work with Michael Cole, and knowing that Corey Graves was going to be there. And Byron Saxton was the logical choice, knowing that Saxton knew how to spar back with JBL, knowing that JBL was going to be a professional jerk on commentary, which is what his character is. Now, the main backstage reason, from what I've been told, is JBL in person is a bully to his co-workers. So they try to put people that can deal with or offset it. Meaning that they're so cool to their co-workers that they can basically call JBL out and not worry about any repercussions from JBL on the microphone, like calling him stupid idiot and all that other stuff that some bullies do. So they figured Byron Saxton would be the logical choice, because Byron does what he does, especially with the inflatable tube buddies of Bailey. So they figure putting him next to JBL and Tom Phillips on SmackDown would kind of rein in JBL's tendency to be a jerk. Now, I don't know what the full thinking behind that is. There are other reasons that I don't know about. But, it's time to move on from that. Because, obviously, I'm not going to find out everything. Now, as per the rest of the Superstar shakeup, they moved the following people from Tuesday Night SmackDown to Monday Night Raw. They moved Apollo Crews, Bray Wyatt, Kurt Hawkins, Dean Ambrose with the Intercontinental title. They moved Kalisto. They moved The Miz and Maurice, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Heath Slater and Rhino. Now, while I don't have all the answers, this is currently why they've moved them. And I'm going to start... Sorry about that. Took a breath mid-sentence and I shouldn't have. I'm going to start right at the top of the list for the women because it's ladies first. They moved Alexa Bliss from Tuesday Night SmackDown to Monday Night Raw. The reason they did this is because they wanted to see how Alexa would work with the crowd that go to Monday Night Raw faithfully. And the reason they moved to Mickie James with her is because they wanted to finish out that storyline of Alexa and Mickie over the women's title. So they wanted to finish that storyline, which, in my opinion, they actually did before the SmackDown women got moved. So that, to me, was a dead storyline already paid for. They didn't need to continue it over to Monday Night Raw, except to cover the fact that that Alexa Bliss could win the Raw Women's Championship, which she ended up doing. Now, the only other female that got moved from SmackDown to Raw was the Miz's wife, Maurice. The reason they moved Maurice and the Miz both were to battle over the Intercontinental title for the Miz. And why would you separate the Miz from his wife? You wouldn't. They're a couple. They asked to stay together. And they said fine. So they moved to Maurice with The Miz. And like I said, it was all for the Intercontinental Championship. Which leads me to Dean Ambrose. The reason they moved Dean Ambrose to Monday Night Raw was so they could put the Intercontinental title back on Raw. So, they basically moved him because they felt it'd be a better fit for that title to be on Raw. The reason they moved Ambrose, though, was too many people were saying, oh, Shield reunion's coming, Shield reunion's coming, Shield's reunion is coming. And in a way, we did get that reunion because they're all on Raw. But we are not getting that official reunion. The Shield has been gone 2 years as a separate entity. As 3 separate guys. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns. Now, why they would reunite them as the Shield, I can't fathom knowing the answer. But I will say this. If it happens, it will happen. It just will not right now. But they wanted to tease us a little, get our hopes up, and then show us it's not always meant to be, which they have done so far. Other than that, Dean Ambrose being moved was kind of stupid. Because you got his. Well, it is out there, so yeah. Why move Dean Ambrose when you got his girlfriend, Renee Young, still with SmackDown? Granted, she runs Raw Talk. But why? Why separate them? Because Raw doesn't always do Raw Talk after Monday Night Raw, like SmackDown does Talking Smack. So, you know, it was just a bad move in my opinion. Yes. Heath Slater and Rhino. Why they were moved to Monday Night Raw as the tag team's unknown. I guess there was an argument that they did it knowing that they were going to do what they did with Golden Truth, which was split them up. And so they wanted, Slater and Rhino together. I don't know. That, for all intents and purposes, that's what it's starting to look like. Is that Rhino and Slater are just the new comedy team. Because, the man's got kids. So, I could be wrong. There could be something bigger in the cards for Rhino and Slater, but right now they're just the comedy team on Monday Night Raw because Golden Truth is being split up. Maybe they're going to give Slater and Rhino the tag titles at some point. I don't know. Moving on now. Yes. Good old Kurt Hawkins. The reason they put Kurt Hawkins on Raw from SmackDown is because Raw needed a couple more jobbers. Now, as to why Raw needed more jobbers is because last year's draft, the 2016 draft, they didn't take many. They didn't take that many of the jobbers. So Raw realized that's why their ratings against SmackDown were dying, because they didn't have the jobbers in the mid-card. So they took Hawkins this year. Kalisto. What can I say? Kalisto was mistakenly drafted to SmackDown because the original plan was Kalisto was going to be drafted to Raw with Sin Cara, and then they split the Lucha Dragons up. What it was, and I'm not confirming this, but there was minor evidence found for a cruiserweight tag team division to be a tag team tournament for this winter. And why they shifted Sin Cara and Kalisto, why they switched them, I don't know. I mean, Kalisto is good for the cruiserweight division. You see me looking to the right, which you guys see a glow off my glasses. I can see that through the camera. Um, what it is where I am at the hotel, I keep looking to my right. I look like I'm looking at something. What is I'm looking at the hotel room door. Because the last couple of days, honestly, it sounded like somebody's trying to get into the room. So I keep looking that way, partially or fully, because I hear the door jiggle. So if at any time I get up during this video, it will be to go check the door. But yeah, getting back to Callisto. Callisto's supposed to be this new cruiserweight gem. Yet they haven't bothered to show him on 205 Live yet, because they got him battling Braun Strowman, Titus O'Neil. I'm like, guys, you moved him for 205 Live, yet you're showing him on Raw. Why didn't you just keep Sin Cara and put them as Lucha Dragons again, just leave them on the main roster on Raw? Why? Bray Wyatt. Now, the original idea is that Bray Wyatt's been brought to Raw to calm down Braun Strowman. Not the case. They want to put on Monday Night Raw the guys that could possibly take the title from Brock Lesnar. Sadly enough, Braun Strowman's injured, so that leaves that out as to Wyatt and Strowman being the ones to do it. If Bray Wyatt does it, it'll have to be all on his own. Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews is actually the first guy that got drafted to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown. And the reason for that is they wanted to team him up with Titus O'Neil to do the Titus brand stuff that they're doing now. So this is actually a months in the making ordeal that they wanted to deal with, and they finally did. They want to try to push Apollo as a bad guy, so they try hooking him up with Titus. If you ask me, that's killing his WWE career. I mean, sorry. That's just my opinion, but maybe this will be what Titus needs to make him relevant. Because Titus O'Neil ain't been relevant since they had to split him and Darren Young up a second time. Oh boy, here we go. Fun time. SmackDown. Where to begin? You know what? Let's start right away. Right off with it. Sin Cara. They moved him from Raw to SmackDown, trying to keep him and Callisto separate, apparently. Enough said there. Why? It's stupid. In my opinion. Now, guys, I'm going to take this point. If you're watching this video, and it don't matter whether you agree with or disagree with what I'm saying, that's what the comments section is for, so you can voice your opinion. If you want to get more of these videos found easier for you, just hit the subscribe button below on your left. Click like if you like these videos and want to keep them coming. But, you know, if you want to get in contact with me, just check the description out below. That has everything I'm on. Facebook, MySpace, Twitter. That has ways you can contact me. But let's get back to this. Sami Zayn was sick of what was going on with him from Monday Night Raw. Very sick of it. So he said, transfer me to SmackDown, which they did. And now you see him constantly where he needs to be, which is in the late card or main event level. So Sami Zayn finally got the deal he needed, that he deserves. Rusev and Lana. The reason they drafted Lana separately from Rusev is because Rusev was actually on the verge of walking out for real. Rusev wanted to walk out for real because he wasn't getting the contract he wanted. He wanted a long-term contract. He didn't care what they were willing to pay him, just as long as he got a decent title shot. Apparently, he found out they were doing that, and that's why they were moving Jinder Mahal from Raw to SmackDown. And Rusev got upset. So he was willing to walk out. Now, in order to ensure that Lana would stay with the company even if Rusev left, they drafted him separately. Good Lord. Somebody must be smoking in the next room. Yeah, I got the vent on, so it don't matter. But yeah, to ensure Lana didn't walk out with Rusev, they gave him new separate SmackDown contracts. Sorry if you saw me looking around there. I was looking for the ventilation vent that was allowing the smoke come from next door into my room. But, you know, some hotels and motels do still have smoking rooms. So, who keeps fiddling with that door? You know what? It's probably a friend of mine trying to prank me. Yeah, Lana and Rusev now have separate contracts. That way, it gives her the option of staying with the company even if Rusev leaves. Jinder Mahal, like I said, they moved him from Raw to SmackDown to give him a decent, clean slate. And to possibly give him a title, which, as of Backlash, almost 72 hours ago, they did give it to him. So there's no surprise there. They wanted to move him just for that. Okay. Tamina got drafted to SmackDown off the free agency pool because she's just back from an injury that caused her to miss the 2016 draft. That's the only reason SmackDown drafted her, is because she was a free agent. That's it. One reason, pure simple. Charlotte Flair. They moved her so Raw and SmackDown would both have two of the four horsemen women of wrestling from NXT. Raw had to choose between Charlotte and Sasha Banks as to which was going to go to SmackDown. And SmackDown said it, well, we'll take Charlotte. I covered that. Epico and Primo. The Shining Stars gimmick on Raw was wearing out pretty quickly. So they said, let's move them to SmackDown and change their name to the Colognes, which they are now. So Epico and Primo are now the Colognes, and yes, they are cousins. They are both Colognes. So, yeah, no. In order to keep relevant, they haven't used their real last name. That was the only way to save them from having to be let go permanent. The New Day. They moved New Day to SmackDown. From what the plans that I've heard are, they want to make them the longest reigning tag team champions on both brands. So look for New Day to pretty soon take over the tag team titles from the Usos and just run with it for a year plus. That way they can say they were the longest reigning tag team on both brands. That's all that is. It's just an ego shot. Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston aren't thrilled with it, but that's what the plan for them is. Okay, I've beat around the bush enough. Let's look at the elephant in the room. Kevin Owens, United States Championship, and Chris Jericho. Let's address the elephant. Kevin Owens was the United States Champion when they drafted him from Raw to SmackDown. They wanted the U.S. title on SmackDown again because they knew Raw was going to get the Intercontinental title. However, the problem is Raw made a quick judgment call to try to keep the title on Raw. So what they did is they had Chris Jericho go for the title. But what they didn't know on Raw is when they did that the U.S. champion was going to be solely SmackDown anyway. So when Jericho won the title at Payback, Jericho became property of SmackDown. Owens didn't like that because he felt he got cheated by Raw. SmackDown didn't like that at first because Raw was trying to cheat them out of an equal title. WWE's original response to that was to give SmackDown the United Kingdom Championship. However, Chris Jericho saved SmackDown from trouble, saying, I'm leaving on a tour with Fozzy. So you guys can give the title back to Owens for all I care. But in order to make that happen, the belt had to become SmackDown property. So Jericho won, became part of SmackDown, lost it back to Owens so he could go on tour with Fawzzy, and that's what killed that upset. Alright, some side notes concerning the draft. They were originally going to draft NXT guys as promoted to the main roster. This did not happen. So when Raw had the Drifter, Elias Sampson, show up, he was not drafted. He was promoted. Now, SmackDown was going to promote DIY. That did not happen because NXT had other plans. Now we know what those other plans were. DIY is split. Alright, it's time to get to the other changes in the company. I'm sure everyone by now knows Tajiri left WWE again. When Tajiri came back from injury, they sat him on the sidelines, citing that due to his age, he may be too injury prone to use. Tajiri got upset about this and he left the company for good. Do not expect to see Tajiri back unless WWE says, oh crap, we lost, a terrific wrestler. Also, I'm sure by now a lot of people know that Chris Atkins has departed WWE. Now, I was told the reason for the departure was because he made some crass comments after his last match, which was a loss. He made some brash accusations that Dolph Ziggler screwed him, or was trying to screw him, and talk crap about him. That's why Ziggler got moved to mid-card. But now, the reason Ziggler is in the Money in the Bank ladder match, got that shot at Shinsuke Nakamura at Backlash, is WWE's way of apologizing now that they know that Chris Atkins lied. I mean, you lie about WWE superstar and then leave the company? Don't ever think you're coming back unless you prove yourself. So, goodbye, happy trails, Chris Atkins. We'll never see you on WWE again, in my opinion. Alright, changes on the roster. Jim Ross, Kelly Kelly, and Dana Warrior all signed ambassador contracts, which means they are back with WWE in Kelly Kelly and Jim Ross's case. In Dana Warrior's case, she now gets to pick the Warrior Award winners. She has more say in that. And that's why they hired her. And yes, finally, we get to producers. Joey Mercury has indeed left the company to pursue other interests in the production world. We don't know if he'll ever come back. We don't know where he's going. But I will say this. I hope Joey Mercury finds what he's looking for whether it be a return to WWE or producing a movie for whoever. And now, I gotta do this. Evolve Wrestling is involved with WWE. It is their newest developmental company below NXT. And for those of you who don't know this, there are people who have left and come to Evolve in the recent weeks. Those of you who watch Evolve will know exactly who I'm talking about. Those of you who don't, I suggest you find a way to get caught up. Those who have left Evolve Wrestling in the last couple weeks are Jeff Cobb, Kennedy Kendrick, Jack Gallo, Beastly Brody, and Flex Rumble Crunch. Why they left isn't exactly clear. However, with departures, you do get some new arrivals, like referee D.A. Brewer. How good a referee he is, who is he, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Other arrivals include Sammy Guevara. I'm told he's from Mexico, but I do not believe that. But the two notable arrivals, both from Ring of Honor, in Stokely Hathaway, Moose's old manager, and Keith Lee, former partner of now member of ROH's stable, The Rebellion, Shane Taylor. Keith Lee left Ring of Honor because he didn't like the heel gimmick that they were trying to get him to do. Shane Taylor said, hey, it's more money, so why not? Outside of that conversation, I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. Keith Lee left. He came to WWE to Evolve Wrestling. That's the whole story. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the close of the premiere episode of World of Wrestling today. If I screwed up, I'll try to do better. Anyways, below, that's what the comment section is for. Tell me what you liked about this. Well, tell me why you liked or didn't like what you heard today. If you've got some of the answers to some of these questions I didn't answer, drop it in there, and at some point I will see it. Also, subscribe to this channel if you want to find these videos more easily. And be sure to leave a like if you did, in fact, like that someone was talking about what's really going on to the best of their knowledge. Alright, now, well, I shouldn't say end of the episode. It brings us to the end of the WWE portion. I tried to avoid this as long as I can, but I've got to do it. I own a company called Pro Competitive Wrestling. It's been in and out since 2010, and I owe some title shots to several people. I owe title shots to number one contenders in Horsepower Hercules Jones and the True Sin Rock Pain. I owe a match to Sean Leader, who was scheduled to face Just Incredible for the Ocean State title in 2013, 2011, which got screwed up by just incredible getting a flat tire at the Connecticut state line and being unable to finish the journey to do the show. I owe Damian Black a match because he did beat his tag team partner for the shot for the title, so I owe him. Joey Steele, I owe a title shot because of his performance in the gauntlet. He got through 4 or 5 opponents before losing their gauntlet winner, Horsepower Hercules Jones. Matt Casey, I owe a title rematch because he has an obligated rematch. Because he is the only other man to hold the PCW championship at the time when we first opened. As for the true Sid Rock Pink, who I mentioned a little while ago, a couple minutes ago, he won a triple threat against a tag team known as Taking Care of Business, which was Big Slick Chris Hold'em and the masterful one, Rob Mast. I owe a title shot to Rock Paint whenever he's ready to come claim it. I don't know. Maybe when we do our first show here, whenever we get to do it, maybe all 6 will be there and they'll take their title shots then. But I own plain and simple, I just owe them for earning the title shots the way they did in most of them. So, anyways, this brings us to the official close of the episode. I've been Jason Dreamer. This has been World of Wrestling Today. Like I've already stated, you want to find these videos easier? Click the subscribe button. If you like this video, there's a button for that. If you want to get a hold of me because I missed something that should have been in this video, then either leave a comment below or get a hold of me in any way through the description links below. I will hopefully be back online soon with another episode of World Wrestling Today. Until then, keep an eye on your wrestling and pay attention to what's going on. And until then, who feels the dream?